In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the inner tie rod on your Honda Accord. This will be located behind the front wheel. If you need this or any other part, check us out at 1aauto.com. Using a 19mm socket, remove the 5 lug nuts. If your wheel was stuck, you can tap on the back of the tire to break it free from the hub. Remove that lug nut and remove the wheel. Using a 24mm wrench, we're going to break the jam nut free for the inner tie rod. Be sure it moves freely. Remove the cotter pin from the outer tie rod. Using a 17mm socket, remove the nut for the outer tie rod. We're going to give the knuckle a bonk and remove the outer tie rod from the knuckle. Remove the outer tie rod, counting the turns as you remove it. Remove the jam nut. Using a pair of pliers, pinch the clamp for the bellows boot. We're going to remove the inner clamp off the bellows boot. To do this, we're going to stick a screwdriver in the pinched part and open it up. Pop the clamp off and remove it. Grab the boot and remove it from the inner tie rod. Using a flat chisel, we're going to push back the safety walk. I'm going to do this on both sides. Using a large set of pliers or an inner tie rod tool, we're going to remove the inner tie rod. Remove it from the rack. Be sure you have the lock washer installed with the tabs facing the rack. Install the inner tie rod. Be sure that that washer keys into the rack. There's 2 slots cut for those 2 tabs. We're going to tighten down the inner tie rod, torque this to 62 foot-pounds. If you can't get a torque wrench on it, do the best you can. Tap the lock washer so it's folded over the inner tie rod. Peen the washer over on either side. Remove the jam nut. We're going to install the bellows boot. Before we install it, I'm going to install the cable tie around the back of the boot and then install it. Don't make that cable tie tight until it's on the rack. Be sure it's fully seated on the rack. Tighten that cable tie down. Get it as tight as you can. We'll chop the end off. Push the boot until it's fully seated on the inner tie rod, and then install the second cable tie. Get it nice and tight and chop the end off. Install the jam nut. Install the outer tie rod, remembering how many times you turned it. Ours is going to be 16. Now we're going to push the jam nut up to meet the outer tie rod. Install it into the knuckle. Install the nut for the outer tie rod. Snug it down. Torque the nut to 32 foot-pounds. Be sure that the stud does not spin when you do this. Install the cotter pin, bend it around. I'm going to chop the ends off. We're going to use a 21mm wrench and torque the jam nut down to 33 foot-pounds. If you can't get a torque wrench on it, do the best you can. Install the wheel. Install the 5 lug nuts. Snug the nuts down. Torque the lug nuts in a star pattern to 80 foot-pounds. Once you're done with this job, take your car to a local shop and have them do an alignment. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for all future videos.